I'll wait for you. You go. So I'm in quite a different location than a lot of my other videos. I decided pretty last minute actually to come up to stay with my parents for a little bit for a few different reasons, but mainly just to have a change of scenery to get some of my work done. I know like a lot of you, we're all kind of working from home at the moment, and while that's a blessing because I can be in the garden a lot and be around family, in terms of creativity, sometimes I can get a little stuck. And the fact is I have real deadlines coming up really soon, and I need to find ways on how I can write the best. And this place here, usually it's nice and quiet. It's very different in terms of scenery. So I thought it would be a good idea for me to come up for a few days. In terms of where I am, I'm kind of in the Whitsunday region around Bowen. I lived here for quite a long time in my childhood, so I know the area very well. It's in a dry tropical climate, so very, very different to Brisbane in terms of how hot it gets. It's very, very hot and humid in this climate. I'm going to have to take this off soon just because it's already starting to heat up. So the warmer weather has been nice, although I do love the cold, chilly mornings in Brisbane. But today I've got my cup of tea and I wanted to start my day out here in the garden and have a really good look at what my mum is growing in her vegetable patch. So that's the first thing that I'm going to be sharing on this video, is an updated tour of what this looks like. I did a tour of when they first built it that I'll link below, but yeah, everything's going crazy in the garden, so I really want to document and update. But another component of this video is going to just be how I practice slow living. I have changed quite a lot in the past year, and I think a lot of other people have due to the worldwide situations, on how I go about my day to day, how busy I am, how much stuff I fill it with. So I wanted to kind of tell a bit of a story about what I'm doing currently. If you can hear really loud birds around, which you probably can, they're called blue-winged kookaburras. They're different to the laughing kookaburras. They have a beautiful blue wing and they come up to the house pretty much on the daily. We end up having quite a lot actually. Dad does like to feed them. Right, so I might give you a bit of a tour of what is growing in this little veggie garden. So you'll probably notice some heavy protection in this garden, and that's because of the wildlife around. While it's amazing to kind of grow out in the open wherever you can, the fact is a lot of people have predators around or animals that will eat everything in the garden. And that's the case here, where there's a lot of kangaroos around and possums, all the wildlife. So I don't think all of this was here in the last video that I showed, but Dad has built a nice little enclosure here with a gate, and this is all enclosed with chicken wire up the back as well. So no one can get in except all the bugs and the pollinators. It's pretty packed full in here at the moment. A lot of this was also just built with wood that was lying around from the tip or recycled, and thankfully Dad is very imaginative in creating a space like this. So in here we have some zucchinis that we actually ate the other day. We ate most of them from here, so there's a few little ones popping through. I'm not going to walk all the way in, but obviously you can see it's kind of dominated with corn, so a lot of them are just about ready. They might need maybe another few days just to make sure all of that silk is brown. And that's when I usually like to harvest the corn. And a really beautiful, nice big pawpaw tree up there with, I think it's got a few little fruit on it and lots of flowers. And this is all positioned next to this massive rainwater tank, along with another one over there, and behind me we also have another one and another one again down below at the end of the property. And that's just because this is all not connected to main water. So we've done rainwater harvesting here, and Mum and Dad have also got solar as well, so trying to be kind of off-grid as possible here. I'll close this up and we'll have a look from around the other side. So this is the view from the other side. You can see down there is a finger lime that I planted about a year ago, and I think Mum and Dad have had some finger limes off it. It's looking really happy. They like a lot of shade particularly in this environment because of the really, really harsh summers here. And there's that gorgeous pawpaw. And then over the kind of enclosed area, greenhouse kind of thing, are quite a lot of pumpkin vines and a cherry tomato as well. Pumpkin looks like it's kind of dying back from this side. But over on the other side, you can see there's some very happy little pumpkins hanging on and kind of just being supported by the structure. I think there's one more up on the top, but these, you can kind of see the colour starting to dull a little bit on these. So I think they'll be ready in about a week or so to harvest. And another little one who didn't make the cut on the top. And then also outside there is the compost bin and another pawpaw tree next to it that's going to love all of the nutrients from the homemade compost. And then in here, beside the little pumpkin, this is the shaded greenhouse, and shade is just super important for a dry tropical climate. When I say it's hot here, it gets hot, and it's a very extreme climate here where we get very, very dry winters. Currently it's dry, very, very dry. But in summers we get the monsoon here, and we get serious cyclones as well. So there's been multiple kind of category 4, category 3, even a 5 cyclones that have come through here. And that's a really big challenge when you're trying to garden. A lot of the trees that we planted here, or that I planted when I was younger, are no longer here because they didn't stand the cyclone. And this is probably the coolest time of the year, so it's very, very bearable and lovely to be outside. But this shade in particular is really, really important for summer. So it's looking a little empty at the moment because they're kind of transitioning between seasons, but there are still a lot of gorgeous tomatoes growing up here that are again supported by the structure. Capsicums, beans, nasturtiums, rocket, garlic chives, always a fave. And some more cherry tomatoes up here, and then a nice potting area here. So it's a lovely little space, and I know my mum enjoys coming out here and doing her gardening. So I hope you enjoyed that little tour. For the next part of the video, I'll include some beautiful shots of the scenery around this area. It's one of the most stunning areas in the world, in my opinion. I'm very lucky to be able to come here and experience it. It's also just given me some more time in my day, not having to do all of the daily chores at home, which I know are super important and I actually love doing. I love being out in the garden and watering and doing all of the things that I need to do to take care of the cats, cook dinner and all of that, but it really is nice to come away for a bit, and just take life a little bit slower at the moment. We all have different ways of coping when life gets busy. For me personally, as I've shared recently, I've been pretty burnt out and struggled for quite a while to be motivated to get my work done and even stay motivated to be out in the garden, even though I love what I do. I know I'm not alone when I talk about experiencing anxiety and nervous thoughts, and I wanted to share how taking life a little slower has helped me through this. I did a nature reading course with Robyn quite a few months ago, and it reminded me of what I used to do before I had these thoughts, and that is connect to nature whenever and wherever I can. Everyday examples of this include just taking a walk in the garden with my cup of tea, playing with the snapdragons and checking to see if there is new life in the garden whilst tending to the old. or pulling an oracle card from a nature-based deck and writing down how that component of nature makes me feel or how it relates to my life currently. Journaling has been so therapeutic, knowing that no one sees these pages but me and my inner self, where I can express raw emotions if I'm happy, angry, or sad, or even just recounting the day and what the weather was like. After a work day, one of my favourite things to do is go for a walk. I find when I exercise and move my body, I can't help but not think about all those anxious thoughts, or I end up thinking about problems in a really positive way. So if you are in a creative funk or experiencing some sort of burnout, I would highly recommend exercise. Even if it's just a few lunges in your room or a run or a walk outside. Taking a slow walk in nature allows me to really notice the little things and just how perfect everything around us can be, despite any chaotic or busy thoughts in my mind. The simple act of observation is my favourite slow living action to do, to notice all the beauty around me, to notice the fluffy green carpet of moss on the rocks or how soft the sand is. The direction of the flowing water, whether the tide is coming in or going out, the direction of the wind, and if that matches the time of year when the wind should blow that way. If you start to walk a path regularly, it becomes second nature to notice the small things. And having walked this beach for years, I have a connection where I now expect certain smells and sounds and animals that belong here, which is really, really special. Another way that almost forces you to slow down is looking up at the stars. And having a campfire definitely improves this experience. To disconnect from your bubble for a moment and ask yourself whether or not those anxious thoughts are actually worth it. I know not everyone can take long walks on the beach or sit by a campfire. That's not what this video is about. But slowing down our minds allows our bodies to relax and breathe. And connecting to nature is a magical way to do so.